Hello, beautiful people. This is another chance. This is another opportunity. We have, you know, to talk to you, to touch on various things that you go through on, you know, on a daily basis. So today, I have been looking into the library of life, and I found out that it's what I can call the life decisions which we make uh, without thinking twice. But we make those decisions not because it's something we wanted to, but because we are pushed by the outside circumstances to do those decisions. So, what pushy circumstances that I can mention of now? Most of us we live a pushy life. A pushy life. A pushy life from work. A pushy life from school. A pushy life from family. A pushy life from obligations and from tasks, life tasks. I will start from one simple example. When you are at the age of 30 years, most of the people will encourage you to get married. Not because it's something that is, that is your best choice, but because that is an assumption that when you are old, you have to get married. And so, you try your best to do the marriage, even when it's not in your choice, in something you're interested in. So this is one example of a lot of other examples. So for example, the family can push you to take a course, of medicine. And you can do medicine for a good, 5 to 10 years doing medicine. And at the end of your courses, just because you did it to please your parents, not yourself, later in life, you choose what makes you happy. That's where you find a doctor being a comedian, a doctor becoming a singer, a musician becoming a president, a president becoming a writer. So that is the example of how this life can push us to some things that we don't find interesting, and later the nature takes us to what we have, lived for. So we can also touch on just a simple aspect of daily, interactions that we have with people. Those emails that you receive, those calls that you receive, those WhatsApp messages, and so many other things, that pop up in your schedules, Sometimes people can use a call to rush your decisions. People can make meetings to make decisions, rush decisions, push decisions over you, where you don't have any choice. People can make these abrupt meetings to give you no choice. They can send you these emails to give you no choice. They can make these calls that give you no choice. And they talk to first that you have no choice except to say yes. And if someone is talking to you and they cannot listen to you, and you have to reach on a common understanding, at the end of the day, they are going to make you, decide in a way that wasn't perfect for you, which is used by most people. Even sales, when you try to close a sale, you give no chance whatsoever to the client until you finish what you are trying to state or trying to mention. And that is common in any part of the world, whether be Asia, be Europe, be US, America, or be Africa. It is common everywhere you go. There is always something that will push you to make decisions that are rushy and most of the times against you. And so, why do Machiavelli insist on something that is very profound? And of course, it has no power in itself, but it gives a room to two parties to have a certain clear arrangement on whatever that they are dealing. So when you go in a particular place, in a rush meeting, in a rush, call, in a rush conversation, and try to keep quiet a bit. Try to think through whatever that you are going to attend or partake in or get involved. It gives no chance to your mind or your thoughts to rush on responding, because when you are rushing, most of the time what you say is used against you. It's used against you because the time frame and the surface of conversation and the environment, the climate is a bit tight for your mind to think through, for your body to try to, meditate and think through for whatever things that you are going to, make some decisions on. And so, silence can play a big role in how you handle, how you deal, how you solve those problems. In fact, you have no reason to rush on anything. It is unfair and devastating to make a decision which is against you just because of pressure. Under pressure, of course, we make wrong decisions. As the saying goes, never make a decision when you are angry. Because when you are angry, you are wrong at the first place. When you are angry, you are in a wrong position to judge things. When you're wrong, you cannot make a right decision. And so, it's unfortunate how people, circumstances, can be pushy towards our lives, our decisions, our choices, where we find ourselves in a catastrophe just because we didn't give it enough time to understand what's really going on, what's really going on. One decision one wrong decision can affect an entire generation. One right decision can also affect the entire generation. And that's why it's very, very rare to find a person who can always make good decisions. Wherever you can go, there is nobody who can make right or good decisions on every matter. There is nobody who can make right decisions on every matter. And so, when you make a decision, give yourself what I can call flexibility to modify the decision. For example, if a landlord comes to you and say, you have spent a month and you didn't pay the due amount for the rent, of course. What you do in that moment is not to react based on your current situation, based on your circumstance. Try to make the landlord understand before time. Give your landlord an excuse before the date, before you reach at that time. Give them the excuse. Try to mention dates, payments, and also days you wish to get what I can call extension. And then when you are in that extension period, do your best to meet their requirements. But don't wait for them to come to you to ask you this and that when you didn't communicate that before. At that point, you have flexibility to make a decision. This happens in many cases. Your wife, maybe you had an agreement that you will be going for vacation every end of the year, but you faced some challenges and those challenges have affected your vocational plans. What you have to do after knowing that, you have to prepare the best way to let your spouse know about the changes of your vocational plans. Don't wait for the vocational plans to come for you to explain. So it's good because it gives you time to also see other options, see other possible outcomes that can help you and mitigate the gap that you have caused. And so, with that being said, pushy times are going to be there no matter what. You know, in most cases, pushy decisions we make are from our superiors, the ones that decide where we go, how, when, why, and what to do. Those people, they also give us those pushy kind of experiences for us to never make excuses, which you can understand. If I do something out of negotiation, then there is a possibility that I will either say yes or no. But when I am forced, pushed, or rushed to do it, there is no chance for negotiation. There is no ways of communicating, other options available. And so, the best way when you are in a pushy situation you cannot think because there's no time to think about what you're going to do. Instead, you can keep yourself silent, think through silently without violence, and try to point out areas which you think that are not, of course, doing, that are not working in your favor. And when you get a chance during that time where you can have, where you can spill the bean and try to give your point of view. Maybe tell your superiors maybe and inform them that you like the kind of work that you're doing, but maybe sometimes or most of the times you do it under unnecessary pressure, and you can ask for an optional request, which can be, maybe you can give me a chance and ask me the results and judge me based off my output. instead of, giving me, intense supervision, I would say, probably. Yeah, that's the closest way I can say it, but there's also other polite way to, to explain that. And so, when they cooperate, that can be good. When they are not willing to cooperate, then you can try and respect the company policies, or you can even look for other opportunities, as it's in your capacities and rights. So, what can I encourage the community? We, as the community, I'm talking on behalf of every community out there, because we face similar, similar challenges in most cases. And those challenges, affect us and also affect the generations to come, also our future. When we face very difficult challenges due to the superiors, top guys. And so the community of today and the community of tomorrow, what I can encourage the community of today is to use the mind first. When you use your mind, you cannot do something wrong just because you are being pushed to do it. When you just do it for the sake of doing it because they have pushed you to do it, at the end of the day, you will not be the person to help your community. You will be the person who goes with whatever that is going, no matter the direction. So you have to take time, think, what am I going to do? What's the benefit? What's the outcome? Who is it going to benefit? And how is it going to benefit me who is doing it? The one who told me to do it, and the people who are going to be part of it or going to benefit from it. In that sense, you can have a good standpoint that does not push you to do what is against people. The army is a group of people who obey the command pretty much more than any group of people, you know. That, I mean, you can be a good army or a bad army. Bad army is an army that, that, that is against people's prosperity, people's well-being, and, you know, so on and so forth. So, the army resents the order without hesitation. But the army, although they resent orders, their order goes through many channels. It is made by a person, but it goes through many channels before it is executed. And those channels are there to kind of mold you, customize, try to criticize and, make a good order, I would say. But for the communities, civilians, it's a different story. The civilians, they, of course, they obey the decisions, and the execution becomes a different story, because it depends on what is going to be their benefit, which is different from the army. So the one who will benefit more will partake more, and the one who will benefit less will, of course, reject the offer or even avoid the offer, which can be a good offer or a bad offer. So how the community reacts is different from, how the army will react. So we have to make good decisions, and we have to think twice before we act. Don't allow anybody to give you a pushy life. Try your best to live a life of freedom. Thank you.